We've all looked up at the night sky, haven't we? And marveled at planets.
Sure.
But the story of how moons form, especially around those massive gas giants, well, that's a far deeper, more mysterious puzzle.
It really is.
I mean, our own solar system has hundreds of moons. Yet Jupiter's 4 biggest ones, Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto.
The Galilean moons.
Right, the Galileans, they remain one of planetary science's, well, great enigmas.
And you've really hit on why this is so fascinating. Our own moon, for instance, its origin was likely pretty violent, probably a massive impact.
Yeah, the standard theory.
But that kind of chaotic beginning just can't explain the really complex satellite systems we see around gas giants like Jupiter. It's like trying to explain a whole city with just a single house blueprint, you know? What's really helpful here, actually, is a recent book chapter by Yehidot Shabaki and Jan Alibert from the University of Bern. It's also out as a preprint. And their work, it's sort of acting as a cosmic detective manual for us. We're going to dive into whether the Galilean story can truly unlock how moons form around giant planets everywhere, not just here.
Okay, so our mission for you, the listener, is to join us as cosmic detectives on this.
Yeah.
We're going to take a deep dive into these fascinating sources, pull out the most important nuggets about these cosmic birth stories, and who knows, maybe even get a sense of what we might find far beyond our solar system. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So the journey of these moons, it really starts with something like a miniature version of those huge swirling clouds of gas and dust.
The protoplanetary disks that form planets.
Exactly. In Jupiter's case, we call it a circumjovian disk, or CJD.
CJD, got it.
Think of it as Jupiter's own little cosmic nursery. The giant planets right there in the middle, constantly pulling in material from the bigger solar nebula.
So it's feeding off the main disk. Precisely. And it's really crucial to understand that these Galilean moons are fundamentally different from Jupiter's other moons, the 90-plus smaller irregular ones.
Ah, the captured ones.
Right. Those are basically asteroids or other bodies caught later by Jupiter's gravity. But the Galileans seem to have grown directly from this CJD.
Okay.
But that immediately brings up the central question the sources are digging into. How? How exactly did this happen? And what does it tell us about moon formation generally?
You know, what really struck me in this research from Shabaki and Albert is how they frame it. Moon formation. It's not just planet formation scaled down.
No, definitely not.
It's fundamentally different. They point out 3 kind of surprising ways it differs that make us rethink things. This is where it gets really interesting.
You've absolutely hit the core point there. These differences are key. First off, think about planets taking ages to form. Moons, they're like speed demons.
Faster.
Way faster. Maybe 10 to 100 times faster. This incredible speed tells us the dynamics inside these smaller disks are just different, fundamentally different.
Wow. Okay, what else?
Second, these circumplanetary disks aren't static, closed boxes. They're more like cosmic transit stations. Materials constantly flowing in and out.
In and out.
Yeah, they gain gas and dust from the bigger solar disk, but they also lose material onto the central planet. It's a really dynamic, open system, constantly changing.
That's very different from how we usually picture planet formation disks.
It is. And the third thing, maybe the most striking difference, is just how rare large moon systems seem to be. We found thousands of exoplanets, right?
Thousands.
But clear examples of big multi-moon systems like Jupiter's or Saturn's, still extremely rare in our observations. Maybe just those 2.
Huh. So that scarcity makes the Galileans incredibly important.
Incredibly vital. Every clue we get from them is precious for understanding the bigger picture.
And this idea of a dynamic flowing disk, that leads straight into one of the big debates, doesn't it? About the disk itself. How much stuff was actually in it to start with? There's the older idea from the 80s, the minimum mass disk.
Right, the minimum mass disk. That model basically pictured a pretty dense, sort of static disk. It held just enough material right from the beginning to build the Galilean moons we see, kind of a self-contained package.
Okay, simple enough.
But then around 2002, the gas-starved disk model came along. And its key difference is this. The disk might have started with less mass, but it was constantly topped up.
Topped up? How?
By capturing fresh gas and dust from the surrounding solar nebula, like a steady trickle of fuel. This constant inflow provided the material for moon growth over a longer time. Think of it like a gas station for making moons.
Interesting. So a steady supply versus having it all up front.
Exactly. And that raises a really important question. Which model actually fits better with the moons we see today? That's still debated.
Okay, so we've got the disk models, but how did the material actually clump together to become moons? That's the next step, accretion, right?
Yes, accretion, how they gathered their material.
And Jupiter's gravity must have played a huge role here. I mean, it's massive. It would have cleared out its orbit, sweeping up or deflecting lots of the building blocks, these pebbles, the meter-sized boulders.
Absolutely. Jupiter's gravity is dominant. It shapes everything nearby. And scientists are looking at two main pathways for how the moons could have accreted despite this.
Two main ways.
Yeah. The first is pebble and dust accretion. The idea here is that tiny dust grains, maybe even slightly larger pebbles, could have sort of slipped through Jupiter's gravitational influence, perhaps aided by gas drag, and gradually built up the moons, particle by particle.
Okay, slow and steady. What's the other way?
The second pathway is planetesimal capture. This is quite different. It suggests that larger bodies, maybe protoplanetary cores like baby planets, essentially got disturbed, perhaps by Saturn's gravity.
Ah, the neighbor effect.
Right. And they wandered too close to Jupiter, got slowed down by its gas-rich disk, and were actually captured. They ended up becoming moons instead of planets or getting ejected.
So captured mini-planets.
Sort of, yeah. And what's really fascinating here is that it might not be an either-or situation. Both processes could have played a role.
Ah, so maybe some pebbles, some captured planetesimals.
It's quite possible. But figuring out the balance, how much each contributed, that remains pretty unclear. The evidence is still being gathered and debated. It's a complex dance, really.
Okay, it's rarely simple in space. Now, you mentioned the Galileans, but one of them is a bit of an oddball, isn't it? Callisto.
Ah, yes, Callisto.
Yeah.
The outlier. It's definitely different from Io, Europa, and Ganymede.
Fiddle so.
Well, for one thing, unlike the inner three, it's not locked into what we call an orbital resonance with Jupiter.
Resonance, that's the synchronized orbits, right? Like a gravitational rhythm.
Exactly. Think of it like a cosmic dance. Io, Europa, and Ganymede have orbits that line up in a precise rhythm for every one orbit Ganymede makes, Europa makes 2, and Io makes 4. It's a stable pattern caused by their mutual gravity. But Callisto, it's further out, dancing to its own tune, not part of that resonance.
Interesting. Anything else?
And perhaps even more telling, its insides. It's only partially differentiated.
Partially differentiated, meaning?
Meaning its interior hasn't fully separated into distinct layers like a dense core, a rocky mantle, and an icy crust, which we'd expect for something its size that formed hot. Imagine a chocolate bar that wasn't fully melted and mixed the ingredients are still kind of jumbled together. Callisto is a bit like that.
That is strange compared to the others, so why?
Well, that's the big question. Did it just form under different conditions, maybe further out in a cooler part of the disk? Or was it maybe hit by something massive later on that disrupted its evolution?
An impact.
It's possible. Or maybe it's simply still unfinished. Perhaps it formed more slowly and never fully heated up enough to differentiate completely, and it might even still be slowly settling over billions of years.
The unfinished moon, that's quite a thought.
It is. And these lingering mysteries about Callisto strongly suggest that, moon formation probably doesn't follow just one single neat path. There might be variations.
Okay, so with all these mysteries still swirling, what's next? How do we get more clues? I know there's the GeoIC mission heading to Jupiter, the Jupiter Icy Moons Explorer.
Yes, GeoIC is incredibly exciting. It's going to give us amazing close-up looks at Ganymede and Callisto especially. We'll get unprecedented data on their surfaces, their interiors, their potential oceans.
Oh, lots of new data coming.
Definitely. GeoIC will provide vital pieces of the puzzle, especially about the evolution and current state of those icy worlds. But even GeoIC will likely only, scratch the surface of the formation story itself. These are really old, complex questions.
So where might the really big breakthroughs come from?
The real game changer might be when our telescopes finally get good enough to reliably detect exomoons, moons orbiting giant planets around other stars.
Ah, finding moons outside our solar system.
Exactly. Imagine if we start finding them. Will those systems look like Jupiter's, with multiple large moons? Or more like Saturn's, dominated by one giant moon, Titan? Or maybe something completely different that we haven't even conceived of yet.
That would really tell us something.
It would be huge for understanding how common planetary systems like ours, with complex satellite families, actually are. Ultimately, this whole deep dive comes back to a really profound question. Are these big moon systems common out there in the universe, or is our solar system kind of special? A rare exception.
Right.
For now, the Galilean moons remain our best laboratory. They're the crucial clues we have for figuring out moon formation science. They really are key to understanding the cosmic recipe for building worlds, at least around giant planets.
And that's what brings it all back to you, listening. The formation of these moons. It's so much more than just a story about Jupiter, isn't it?
Much more.
They're potentially keys to unlocking how worlds are built everywhere. And for now, as missions like JUICY's send back data, and as we keep searching for exoplanets and maybe even exomoons, their story is still very much an unfinished chapter. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Yeah. If we finally manage to peer into another star system and find a big, complex family of moons like Jupiter's, what will that tell us about our own place? How common or maybe how unique our cosmic neighborhood really is?
That's the big question to ponder.
Something to definitely mull over until our next deep dive.